Hi everyone, it's Rob Ryder on Friday, November 25th, 2016. Black Friday, as most would know it. Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving if you're here in the United States. I certainly did. And first one with 3 grandchildren. It was a wonderful day. I did a video with Bob from Arizona. I think it was on Wednesday. Except when I did it, it didn't turn out because his voice didn't show up on the video. And that's kind of the way it goes, so we're going to do it again. But because of that video and things we had been talking about anyways, there's just things that kind of go more towards the end that need to be discussed. And so that's what this video's for, because I get to talk about forms and, read from what they say, and that's what I like to do. And then we'll talk to Bob and see how we're going to implement the plan. But this is kind of where that comes from. And so Fannie Mae's loan number and you on Friday, November 25th, 2016. And in a manual that's called Fannie Mae Requirements for Document Custodians. So if you Google that term, you would find the manual. In fact, it's one of the manuals I'll be reading from almost exclusively. And which it says in the overview, it says Fannie Mae requires that certain documents relating to mortgage loans and mortgage-backed security pools be held by Fannie Mae or custodian institutions, called document custodians, that meet eligibility criteria set out in the Fannie Mae selling and servicing guides, collectively referred to as guides. And so, part of what Bob had done is contacted Fannie Mae, asking them to help him find his mortgage or find his certificate. And this is based on prior videos. You just have to go listen to them to know what I'm talking about. But what they told Bob is, well, we don't have your loan. But they're looking at his paperwork that he had sent, like the mortgage note with the endorsement that had been canceled and the allonge that had been signed by him and these other things. He said, we don't have your note. You need to go to your servicer and ask for us to help you find the certificate, we need to have the Fannie Mae loan number that goes to this document. So go ask your servicer for the Fannie Mae loan number. Fannie Mae loan number. There is such a thing. And so that's what Fannie Mae said. So in a way, they're trying to pass the buck and not do it themselves and have Bob go and search some more and hopefully get frustrated or who knows what. So that's what it says in that guide. And I'm just going to point out in another guide that we're going to look at called the Servicing Guide, Fannie Mae Single Family, in the overview of general servicer duties and responsibilities, it says in the very first section, the servicer services Fannie Mae mortgage loans as an independent contractor and not as an agent, assignee, or representative of Fannie Mae. In other words, Fannie Mae did not give up any legal title at all to these loans, and so therefore they are responsible to Bob for them to go find the frickin' Fannie Mae mortgage number if that's what they need and get his property back. Now, they didn't deny that it was his because they're looking at his loan, and he's saying he's looking for the certificate to get paid. And they said, well, for us to find the certificate, we need to have the Fannie Mae loan number. Okay, we're going to go try it their way on Monday, but we're going to go back to Fannie Mae and say, hey, it's your frickin' duty. Here, it's in your guide. That's the wonderful thing about reading their papers to find the thing that makes them the one having the obligation. And so more on that in a minute. But before we can get there, I have to ask, hey, can you please donate? If you can, PayPal works really good. It's the PayPal account name is my daughter's email address. You go to PayPal. If you have a PayPal account, put in ashleyretluski@gmail.com as the PayPal account name, and you'd be there. You can always send it in the mail to myself, Robert Retluski, 10955, 14 Mile Road Northeast, Rockford, Michigan, 49341. Credit card? Got one? I believe I know how to use that now. If you were to email me at courtofrecord@aol.com, I have a PayPal account that can use a credit card. I just haven't done it yet. I don't get all that many donations. I just ask all the time. But I will say this, the ones I get are always right on time. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. And thanks for those who gave. If you got questions, you don't need to give me any money to ask me a question. Courtofrecord@aol.com. AOL.com is my email address. That's COURTOFRECORD. AOL.com, or 616-712-6179 is my phone number. And in either case, I usually answer, but I can't say that I always do. That would be a lie. Please forgive me. Squeaky wheel gets the grease, but don't bother me too much or you'll piss me off. What can I say? When God is trying to get his perfect plan done with imperfect people, you end up with people like me talking into a frickin' microphone on the internet trying to get something done. I'm not going to say, that it was my calling, but here I am. So let's go look at what they have to say themselves. And that would be, first of all, so I can close some of these. All right, all these are Fannie Mae documents, the things we're going to be looking at, either manuals or forms. And so this thing is just called the Servicing Guide, Fannie Mae Single Family. Boom, that was it. If you were to Google that, you would find it. And I knew to look for this because it was referenced in another manual we're going to look at that it talked about servicing. Right, but it's in this Servicing Guide that, it just goes on and on and on. It's got too much of a preface. I don't remember exactly where I found it in here. But, if you want to know about servicers, here's a manual. It will tell you all about them. It's quite lengthy. But I don't want the servicer as much as I want the documents, and those are with the document custodian. So I want to know what the document custodian is supposed to do. And that's this one, Fannie Mae, Requirements for Document Custodians, version 11.0, June 30, 2015. And so we're just going to kind of spin through this thing, and I'm going to stop and read certain things and go by other parts that maybe I should have read, but there's, just so many things you can do. But, obviously, if you wanted to, you go directly to any of these pages just by putting your finger over the number and click to it. Introduction. This document, Fannie Mae Requirements for Document Custodians, the RDC, provides additional detailed information on what is required of institutions that are providing document custodiancy services on behalf of Fannie Mae, and supplements the Fannie Mae selling and servicing guides. Right? So what are these? These are the things that are required to do. These are the duties of the custodians. And so if they're not doing it, we run to Fannie Mae and say, hey, your custodian isn't doing their job. Zip on through. What were some things I picked up? So I went through and highlighted a bunch of things already. What I did notice is, hey, they have an email address that goes to this thing called the Custodian Oversight at FannieMae.com office, which may be really handy to use if you got a complaint against a custodian not, giving you the information you want. Well, there you go again, custodian. But I'm going to say this still is Fannie Mae's problem. They didn't give up legal title to anything. They just have people holding papers for them. Okay, now definitions. I didn't highlight this one, but what's the agreement? The custodial agreement is a Fannie Mae Form 2003. So we can stop just a second. They have this place on Fannie Mae. If you just Google Fannie Mae forms, all right, here's a guide to forms, and all these forms are Fannie Mae forms. And someday I'm going to sit here and just look at all the titles and go look at a bunch of them. But they're all here. The ones we're going to be talking about are down here in 2003, 2005, 2009, those kind of numbers. Right? Fannie Mae forms. Google it, and you will be looking at this page. Okay, so that's how you'd find the forms that we're going to be talking about as we read this document. So that's the Form 2003 or 2010. Upon its execution by each of Fannie Mae, lender, and document custodian, and delivery of the original or copy of such executed custodial document to each of the parties. In other words, all three parties have to sign this agreement. The Fannie Mae, the lender, and the document custodian. And the lender is the person that's the lender on your deed of trust or mortgage, as far as I can tell. We'll see what the definition says they are. Certification. Notice by the document custodian to Fannie Mae that to each mortgage loan listed on the schedule of mortgages, that'll be a key term, schedule of mortgages, for the reference MBS pool, it has examined all the related documents required for certification it has received and has determined that basically the documents conform prima facie. Mortgage loan data, yada, yada, yada. That's all okay, right? So who's going to certify? That's what the document custodian is going to do. Notice by the document custodian to Fannie Mae that as to each loan listed on the schedule of mortgages for the referenced MBS pool. Now, they didn't use the number there, but this thing here is what they call the schedule of mortgages. Right? Program schedule of mortgages. And this is the form, it's called a Form 2005. And it's got a section here at the top where this, like little section here before the split, that is for the pool. And then this one here in this block and this one here in this block are like two different identical sets of information for a single loan. So they could have a pool and two loans on this one sheet. I don't know that that's how they do it, but that's what you're looking at. This section up here is for the pool. This section here is for an individual loan, as is this. These two are duplicates of each other. And that's all the more you can put on one sheet. And it must be 8.5 by 14 because it's awful long. But so I don't forget, here at the end in the section for the single loan level data, there we go, see, pool level data, loan level data, 54 is the MIN number, MIN number. So this form would be tied to your MIN number. If you have a MIN number, you're halfway there to having this thing figured out because your MIN number is tied to this form, and this form has all the information there is about your loan on it. Well, not all of it, but the amount that's supposed to be on it. Let's continue on, because that's what the certification's about. All right, notice by the document custodian to Fannie Mae that as to each loan listed on the schedule of mortgages for the reference MBS pool, it has examined all the related documents required for certification it has received and has determined that the documents conform prima facie without exception. Document custodian, entity that maintains custody of the documents on behalf of Fannie Mae. So they're Fannie Mae's, but they're the vault, basically, subject to and in compliance with the guides and this RDC. This is what we're reading as the RDC. Documents for each mortgage loan, the related promissory note, mortgage assignment to Fannie Mae, and other documents that Fannie Mae requires to be deposited with the deposit or the document custodian for its review and certification to Fannie Mae as to the requirements that are specified in guides in the RDC, both, and blah, 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 blah. In other words, so that Fannie Mae can look the other way and not have to say they know where everything is. Oh, you need to go give us our Fannie Mae loan number. Well, I'm going to go try to get it, but I don't need to. I say that this manual on servicing we read before says it's your duty, because the servicer is just a private contractor. The document custodian isn't the servicer. It's who the servicer is going to give the documents to. They're just like the vault. Lender, seller, or the servicer. See, that's who's going to give the stuff to the document custodian. See the definitions of seller and servicer. So that's who the lender is. The lender is going to be the seller and or the servicer. Mortgage loan. A loan secured by a mortgage loan on 1 to 4 unit residential dwelling, yada, yada, yada. That's stuff that we're pretty much deal with. Participation certificate, the instrument that evidences an undivided individual interest in mortgages and obligations secured thereby. I say that's what we're looking for us, although I have no evidence of it. It just sounds like that's what it is. The instrument that evidences an undivided interest in mortgages and obligations secured thereby. Pledging of services. The use of a servicer's contractual rights to service mortgage loans owned by Fannie Mae. Who owns loans? Fannie Mae. Didn't give up legal title. As collateral in securing financing for purchases of lines of credit to fund mortgages if permitted by the guides. I don't know what that is, but somebody's pledging the services as a, as collateral for money, basically, to get a line of credit, to buy the mortgages. Right? So we're going to service it for you, and for that, well, then you just give them to us, like we paid for them. I don't really understand it, but hey, that's banking. Schedule of mortgages. This would be the Fannie Mae Form 2005, and we were just looking at it. There it is. Fannie Mae Form 2005 as completed for a particular MBS pool, including revisions or corrections thereof to permit deletion and or addition of mortgage loans prior to the document custodian certification of the MBS pool referenced in the Form 2005. This term may also include such other means of specifying mortgage loans that are subject to this agreement and a document custodian certification as Fannie Mae may permit or require. Okay. All right, we're going to try to complicate it and give it a lot of different, it's like any time they take a word and they give it more than one definition. Well, it could be this, and normally it is, but we happen to use it this other way in this particular case, and therefore what you're saying to me doesn't make any sense because we're not using the same definition for a particular word. So anytime I see, subject to this agreement, this term may also include such other means of specifying mortgage loans that are subject to this agreement and a document custodian certification as Fannie Mae may permit or require. Apparently, they don't all need to be Fannie Mae Form 2005s, but they're all going to be a schedule of mortgages that basically document the information that's on the 2005. Seller, the party that is obligated to Fannie Mae to perform the functions of the seller. In the Fannie Mae Selling Guide, lender may be seller with respect to some or all mortgage loans. If the lender is not the seller with respect to some or all mortgage loans, then it becomes the servicer with respect to those mortgage loans concurrent with or after they became assets of the MBS pool. So when the servicer gives them over to the document custodian and does whatever they do to sell them, because they're selling them to Fannie Mae, it's just the documents are going to the servicer, the custodian. But Fannie Mae bought them. So after that's happened, then apparently Fannie Mae makes them the servicer. Servicer, the party that's obligated to Fannie Mae to perform functions of the servicer as required in the Fannie Mae Servicing Guide. Lender is the servicer. Okay, who's the servicer? The lender. Now, in Bob's case, they want him to think the servicer is PHH Mortgage, who's acting in the place of Merrill Lynch, who is actually the lender on their loan. And Merrill Lynch still exists. They share the same office with PHH Mortgage, same mailing address. But the lender is the servicer. And so, in my thinking these days, I'd say, well, I'm going to copy this page, and I'm going to send it to the person that's the lender on my loan and say, you're the servicer, and Fannie Mae says, you have my mortgage Fannie Mae loan number. Do you have my certificate? I'd like to get paid. We'll get the exact sentence down, but you get my point. The lender is the servicer. Fannie Mae said so. So they can't say, well, go talk to PHH Mortgage. That may be a contract between PHH Mortgage and Merrill Lynch, but it isn't a contract between me and Merrill Lynch. Because Fannie Mae said the lender is the servicer, and I'm going to go with that. You sign an agreement that they had to sign an agreement earlier on as the lender. The lender is the servicer. They agreed to it. Servicing retained sale, subservicer, an entity that is contracted with the contractually responsible servicer of the mortgage. So, contractually responsible servicer is the lender. Who's responsible by contract? The lender as the servicer. The subservicer is like the PHH Mortgage we're talking about, an entity that is contracted with the contractually responsible servicer of a mortgage loan or a pool of mortgage loans to perform the ongoing servicing activities for the mortgage loan or pool. Okay, well, fine, but still, the lender's the servicer. So go tell the lender to go to their subservicer and get done whatever you need to get done. But the lender is the servicer. Fannie Mae said so. Okay, overview. Fannie Mae requires that certain documents relating to mortgage loans and mortgage-backed security pool be held by Fannie Mae or other custodian institutions called document custodians that meet eligibility criteria in the Fannie Mae selling and servicing guide. And there's only like a couple, 3 pages of them. In fact, you can Google eligible Fannie Mae document custodians and find a list. I think there we go. The document, this RDC document addresses the standard policies and procedures that Fannie Mae has in place for any document custodian arrangement that involves third-party document custodian. Okay, all we need to do is play auditor. We're going to take their procedure and we're going to go see how they do, and just go 1, 2, 3. This is a procedure on what somebody else is supposed to do. This is their duty. All you need to do is read them their duty and see if they're doing it. And if not, then take it to Fannie Mae. Say, hey, these people aren't doing their duty. Oh, by the way, you could send an email to the analyst, or custodian oversight, FannieMae.com. They may tell you to, go someplace else, but before this is over, I'm sure we'll probably send them an email. Document custodian servicer. Yeah, this is 80-some pages, so obviously I can't read the whole thing, but let's see. The document custodian is expected to provide appropriate information to enable servicer to determine that the document custodian satisfies Fannie Mae's eligibility criteria. Okay, so that's for them to get the job. I really don't want to read all that. But I do want to read this. The document custodian must obtain and track the Fannie Mae loan number. Fannie Mae loan number. Hey, Fannie Mae told Bob, we need the Fannie Mae loan number to tell you what the certificate is to the mortgage loan. And the document custodian must obtain and track the Fannie Mae loan number in electronic format for each mortgage loan for which the document custodian holds documents. Refer to Section 2.12, Servicer Responsibilities. Yada, yada, yada. Eventually, hey, you get down to this 9.4, it kind of tells you how they're supposed to get this phantom hiding Fannie Mae loan number, because they haven't really identified what it is yet. Servicer responsibilities. The servicer must have written document custodian arrangement covering all MBS pools and mortgage loans held in custody on behalf of Fannie Mae. The document custodian arrangement must be documented by an executed custodial agreement. That would be the Fannie Mae Form 2003 or Fannie Mae 2010 as applicable. Among the servicer, the document custodian, and Fannie Mae. All 3 parties must sign the agreement, or it's not an agreement. If they didn't sign it and they're dealing with Fannie Mae loans, then somebody's committing fraud. At the end of the day, Fannie Mae sits at the top of the pyramid, and they're under the custodianship of some federal agency that I can't remember the acronym for, but we read it in the last time around. I read it in my last video. Seller responsibilities. A seller must list each mortgage loan it delivers to the document custodian on the Schedule of Mortgages. That would be the Fannie Mae Form 2005, which is provided to the document custodian. So what must the seller do? He must list each mortgage loan it delivers to the document custodian on a schedule. So this is what, in Bob's case, what Merrill Lynch should do. They're the seller, servicer. Seller And so they're supposed to fill this out and give this to the document custodian. But they're selling it to Fannie Mae. They're just giving the papers to the document custodian. Prior to certification, a seller is responsible for delivering the required documents related to the mortgage loans and the data electronically describing all mortgage loans listed on the 2005 to the document custodian. A seller must deposit with the document custodian all required documents and provide all data in a timely manner. The document custodian needs to have enough time to complete certification early enough to support the scheduled issuance of the MBS. All right, so this is where they're making the sausage in the back room. Third-party document custodians. In order to be a third-party document custodian, an institute must meet all the following criteria. There they are. And got to have insurance. And they got to have errors and omissions insurance. And they have to do an application and be approved by Fannie Mae. Right? Fannie Mae is the one that approves them. And they do that on the old, looks like the Form 2008. In order to become a Fannie Mae document custodian, all new document custodians must be approved by Fannie Mae. In order to receive approval, the document custodian must submit a completed application for active document custodianship, Form 2008, to Fannie Mae, which is available on, you can go look it up. I showed you where. It's right here on this page, on the forms page. I got active and inactive. Well, we'll get to that later. Right now, we're on the hunt to get the Fannie Mae loan number. To get the Fannie Mae, say, okay, here's your loan number. Now give me my damn certificate. The custodial agreement. That'd be the Form 2003 and 2010. The custodial agreement, Fannie Mae forms, evidences the custodial relationship among Fannie Mae, the servicer, and the document custodian. Three-party contract wherein the document custodian agrees to hold for the exclusive use and benefit of Fannie Mae and for the servicer, but that's only in his capacity as servicer for Fannie Mae and not owner of the interest in the documents. So who has the interest in the documents? That'd be Fannie Mae. They're holding legal title. They're responsible. Upon receipt of the form, we got to put some certain things, and well, that would be like the custodian institution legal name, and the lender, i.e., the servicer institution legal name. Because we're never really sure if we're looking at somebody's legal name, right? Those could be trade names, nicknames, whatever. But whatever their legal name is in a lot of cases quite well hidden. However, to do this, they have to provide them. So if they didn't, well, they committed a crime. The document custodian must enter its full legal name, address, and its 11-digit financial institution number, the FIN, on the forms we were talking about. By executing the agreement, the document custodian certifies that it meets Fannie Mae standards for document custodians and agrees to review and hold all documents required by Fannie Mae. The document custodian must return the executed original forms to Fannie Mae at the following address. Well, there you are, Custodian Oversight, Fannie Mae, 13150 World Gate Drive, Mail Stop, 5H-3W/SF, Herndon, Virginia, 20170. I've never seen Mail Stop before. To be quite honest, I've looked at a lot of addresses. I mean, not a lot, but I don't remember seeing a Mail Stop. That's interesting in its own. As is this 11-digit financial institution number, because as Roe pointed out to me, that has sometimes has something to do with the IRS and the foreign something or other. I have to put it in my next video because I can't remember what it's called, but it does tie to the IRS also. But this is a financial institution number. Any questions may be sent to the following email address. Well, thank you for offering. I just may use that. Document certification application. Document certification is a web-based application that gives document custodians the ability to certify MBS pools and transmit the certification status to Fannie Mae and the seller. Isn't that wonderful? It's all done by electronics. There's no paper trail, it's an electronic trail. The document custodian procedures must incorporate periodic reviews of authorized user access to Fannie Mae document certification application. Oh, this is Fannie Mae's stuff that the document custodian is using. And so again, I can't make any clearer to you, Fannie Mae. It's your duty. We're going to go get you your Fannie Mae loan number, but if we get any guff, we're going to come back to you. And you're going to go get us your Fannie Mae loan number. Application functions. Tell them how to use it. Delivery and the Bailey letter process. Wow, Bailey? That's like common law. We must be getting close to the bottom of the barrel. We're back to common law. Delivery and the Bailey letter process. Adherence by the document custodian to these procedures is a matter of critical legal importance, and document custodians must verify that they have appropriate safeguards and procedures in place. That should make some bells go off. Bing, 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 bing. I'm not going to read this right now, but I will be reading it soon. If you know anything about Bailey's, this is where it's going to apply with Fannie Mae. But I will read this. The verification process. The verification process ensures that mortgage sellers' wiring instructions match any instructions of a warehouse lender or other party included in the Bailey letter or a separate document that accompanies the mortgage loans and notes when they are delivered to the document custodian. The document custodian must follow this verification process. Well, that would mean that two people have access to wiring instructions, at least. So the right hand doesn't need to know what the left hand is doing for the right hand or the left hand to pay you if they have the wiring instructions. Wire the proceeds to me for this loan. It's really all we're trying to do. That's all we want the certificate for, is to show ownership. Now, again, Bobby in Arizona talked to the New York Bank of Mellon, who said it's the certificate that shows ownership in the proceeds. And Fannie Mae said, well, to find find the certificate to this loan that you just had sitting in front of me, because Bob sent his mortgage note that had been endorsed, deed of trust, some other. Here, I'm looking for the certificate that goes for this, because that's what I was told I need to get paid. Well, to get paid, to get your certificate, we need to have the Fannie Mae loan number. But they didn't say you're nuts. It's not yours. No, they said, well, we need to have the Fannie Mae loan number. So that'll be Monday's opportunity to see if we can get it on Monday. Custody documents. Fannie Mae. Documents required by Fannie Mae. The original mortgage or deed of trust note. Hey, who's got it? That's going to be with the document custodian. Well, let me read that to you. So Fannie Mae specifies the documents the document custodian must retain in custody for the mortgage loans in the MBS pool delivery. The document custodian is required to hold only the following documents, and then it lists them, such as the original mortgage note, or if it's lost, then a notarized lost note affidavit, and a copy of notarized power of attorney, copy of any name affidavit, if applicable. Hey, Bob did one of those. He had to do his name affidavit, and they made him do it in his proper name, and we showed it in the other video. The original of any unrecorded assignment of a mortgage to Fannie Mae in recordable form unless the mortgage is registered in the MERS. So not all loans are registered with MERS. If they're registered with MERS, well, you're going to have a MIN number. And that MIN number is going to come into play here under number 54 on the schedule of mortgages, which is the Form 2005 MIN number. But if you don't have one, than the original of an unrecorded assignment of a mortgage to Fannie Mae in recordable form unless the mortgage is registered in MERS, in which case no assignment of the mortgage to Fannie Mae is required. So there has to have been sent to them an original of an unrecorded assignment of the mortgage to Fannie Mae. They just never recorded it. So, somebody else has the paper, but it's not been recorded yet as being apparently the original of an unrecorded assignment of a mortgage to Fannie Mae. Means here's the assignment. We just haven't recorded it, but we'll give it to you, Fannie Mae. And if Fannie Mae records it, well, then it'll be assigned to them. It just hasn't been recorded that it is, but legally it has been. Documents not required. I don't really have time for that right now. Electronic document retention. No. Document review and certification. When a seller creates an MBS pool. So a seller, again, is your lender. It sends the mortgage pool or the mortgage loan documents required for certification to the document custodian for certification and custody. The mortgage loan data is transmitted electronically via loan delivery to Fannie Mae and to the document custodian. The document custodian accesses the data through the document certification application. The seller must also transmit electronically to the document custodian via loan delivery, formerly via MCCS, any subsequent corrections to the schedule of mortgages, Form 2005. That's a lot of blah blah to say this is all done electronically and through these closed systems that very few people have access to, but within those is the information on your form. So the seller, the document custodian, and Fannie Mae, all three of them are using the data in this system. So any of them should be able to find your information. Now, I know they could have things locked, right? But I'm just saying, very few players involved. Mortgage deed of trust note. The document custodian must receive the original note, mortgage, or deed of trust note for each mortgage listed on the schedule of mortgages. That'd be the Form 2005. If the original note is missing and the seller has exhausted all reasonable means for obtaining the original note or an original duplicate note, Fannie Mae may authorize the seller to substitute a lost note affidavit or similarly substitute documentation for the missing note. Who makes the determination? Fannie Mae. And Fannie Mae is under conservatorship under some federal agency. So they have legal title. So if Fannie Mae won't do it, well, we'll bitch to them, to their regulator. Although I will say this, they had some very powerful ethics manuals, right? So if you look up ethics on the Fannie Mae website, you'll find a couple of manuals, and that it's a requirement that they point out something that's possibly a crime, and we're going to make sure to point that out to them. That, hey, we read your manual. The document is an original that has been signed by all borrowers. Note, Fannie Mae requires borrowers to be natural persons. Oh, go imagine. That's why they had to have your full legal name, Robert Bradford Kirby, in Bob's case, on an affidavit of identity. The Fannie Mae Selling Guide provides certain exceptions to the requirement that borrower be natural persons, including one for inter vivos revocable trust. Well, that would be where you're going to donate your property, right? A unilateral contract, basically. I don't think we wanted to do that, and since it said it's revocable, well, then we would revoke it. Endorsements. The note is endorsed in blank without recourse. And there is no break in the chain of endorsements in the format shown below. All right, and so what's the format shown below? Pay or payable to the order of, without recourse, the lender's name, the name of the authorized signer, and the name of the authorized, or the title of the authorized signer. So like in Bob's case, Now, his lender isn't the name that was on the, at least I don't believe they were, because we'd have to go look again. Anyways, this has the lender's name, so that would mean who's ever the lender on the deed of trust, their name should be the name that's on the endorsement as the lender. And if not, well then, that's why this lender is capital lender, because it's somebody else. Because they're using all these all caps forms of words, which must mean something because all the rest of the words are pretty much lowercase and all those are uppercase. And so case sensitive must come into play. What would be on an inter vivos revocable trust? Okay, so if it looks like this is not an irrevocable or a revocable inter vivos trust. If it looks like this, it is. We're sample. Signature, William Smith. Type name, William Smith, individually as trustee for Smith Family Trust. Under the instruments dated, yada, yada, yada. Now, the only way there could be paperwork like that is if somebody signed your name without you knowing it. And on the signature affidavit that Bob had to do, somebody put his name in cursive, like, printed off a computer or something, or as being the same as his signature that he had put at the top of the page. Assignments of mortgages. When a seller registers a mortgage with Mears, it either names Mears as the nominee for the beneficiary in the security instrument, thus making Mears the mortgagee of record, or records an assignment of the mortgage to Mears. In either case, the seller will not need to deliver the document custodian an assignment of the mortgage to Fannie Mae. Mears registered mortgage can be identified by 18-digit MIN number. So if it has that, well, then it's been assigned to Mears. But if it doesn't, if the mortgage is not registered with Mears, the document custodian cannot certify the pool until the seller sends the document custodian the missing unrecorded assignment to Fannie Mae. Right? It's been assigned, just not recorded. Otherwise, it's been assigned through the MIN system. And the document custodian must ensure the MIN is stored in the document tracking system. And it shows up on the 2005 in number 54. And this is the form that gets, so we should go look at the rest of this form real quick before we go any further. All right, so the other page of this, then, as it gets certified. The undersigned certifies. So this is going to the Federal National Mortgage Association, not calling it Fannie Mae now. We're going to use its proper name. The undersigned certifies all information contained in the attached schedule of mortgages is correct and certifies the following. The lender has transferred such mortgages to Fannie Mae. And, so first of all, that by itself, the lender has transferred the mortgages to Fannie Mae. That the delivery and servicing of such mortgages will be governed by the terms of applicable pool purchase contract acceptance statement. I'm going to have to go find with that thing. What is the pool purchase contract acceptance statement? And the Fannie Mae selling and servicing guides as of the date of the certification. Lender, authorized signature, yada, yada, yada. I wonder what goes in here. Bet you they put a seal there. Because these are all financial institutions, and they do have some kind of medallion seal or something like that. Custodian certification. So this is this. What was this? Oh, this is the lender. They're both going to certify. The undersigned certifies that as to each mortgage listed in the attached schedule of mortgages, it has examined such documentation as specified in the custodial agreement, executed by the undersigned pertaining to such mortgages, and such documents conform on their face with descriptions contained in the custodial agreement. Yeah, custodian, authorized signature, name of custodian, address, where the documents are held, financial institution number. And that's got some instructions on telling them what to do. So, enough on that. That's the Fannie Mae Form 2005. That if you have a MIN number, it shows up on it. So ask the servicer for because like anything else, if you don't tell them specifically what you want and have it nailed, they're going to say, well, we don't have that. Don't know what you're talking about. That kind of stuff. So if you say Fannie Mae Form 2005, well, then they have to say they have that. And that's why knowing what this list is important, because these are all the forms that would be used in a mortgage. And so if we use the names that are used legally, they're going to have to say, either yes, they have it, or no, they don't. And as usual, the phone starts ringing. So I'm going to do my best not to lose my place. Hang on just a second. Okay. So seller's supposed to provide the min. If they don't, then they have to provide the unrecorded assignment to Fannie Mae. Unrecorded assignment to Fannie Mae. Isn't that interesting? That won't be in the public record. Or the unrecorded assignment to Fannie Mae. Excuse me. That won't be recorded. Data review and certification. Schedule of mortgages. Hey, we've talked about that once or twice, right? The seller will electronically transmit this 2005. It includes data about individual mortgages and new MBS pools, for which the document custodian will maintain custody of documents. This stuff isn't that hard to read to understand what it's saying. Hey, they're going to have some forms, and they're going to log them into a thing called the 2005, and they're going to give that to the document custodian, and the document custodian is going to check the work of the seller and then certify that it's correct. But look at this. Property address. It includes the house number, unit if applicable, street name, city, and zip code. Okay, listen up. The document custodian must validate that the zip code is a 5-digit numeric field. The document custodian is not required to verify that the zip code on the note matches that on the Form 2005. I wonder if somebody's going to switch the zip code. And the easiest way to get away with it is tell them, well, you don't have to verify that. You just need to say it was a 5-digit field, but they don't need to. They're going to verify all this other information, but not the zip code, for God's sakes. So what they're going to do is have a zip code on the Form 2005 that goes to, some office building, because, an entity, an institution can have its own zip code, and that's where the mail goes to. It goes to the zip code. It doesn't care about the rest of the shit on the fucking letter. It goes to the zip code. So if they put that special zip code on things, that's where your mail's going to, and we never get the mail. It may have your address, but it has the wrong zip code. That's my theory, and I'm just waiting to see if that could be correct. And the way to find out is to see the Form 2005 that was filed, to see if it matches the address on the note. And then they'd be busted, because they'd have to resolve the discrepancies. Document custodian certification, section 9.3. The document custodian certification states that it has examined and has in its possession the required documents for the mortgage loans in the applicable MBS pool, and acknowledges that each document appears regular on its face, right? But we're not going to check the zip code to make sure it's exact, just that it had 5 digits. Well, it appears regular. There were five digits there. And that's what the rules told me to do, so technically, right, they're off the hook. Of course, if it's an error or an omission, well, then they had better have insurance, and hey, they do. And corresponds exactly to the mortgage loans listed in the schedule of mortgages on the Form 2005. So they're blah, blah, blah. They're talking about these different electronic systems that Fannie Mae has, and it says this system automatically transmits a copy of the document custodian's certification to the servicer and sends the document custodian a confirmation acknowledging Fannie Mae's receipt of the certification. So the servicer through this system, which used to be called the MCCS, has been notified that the document custodian has sent a confirmation acknowledging the loans that were on the Form 2005. Obtaining and tracking the Fannie Mae loan number. Oh, hey, that's what Fannie Mae said they needed for them to find the certificate that would go to a particular mortgage loan. The document custodian must obtain and track the 10-digit Fannie Mae loan number in electronic format for each mortgage loan for which the document custodian provides custodial services. Okay, so where does it get it? Well, after October 1st, 2015, obtained within 30 days of loan certification and tracking in electronic format, the Fannie Mae loan number for every mortgage loan for which the document custodian provides custodial services. The seller must respond within 3 business days to any request from the document custodian to provide the Fannie Mae loan number. So the seller has the Fannie Mae loan number. If it was before 2015, October, request the servicer provide an electronic list that identifies by the Fannie Mae loan number. Stop. Again, this is saying that the seller or the servicer, up here this was the seller, now this is the servicer, but they're both the same person. They're the lender. Request that the lender provide an electronic list that identifies by Fannie Mae loan number all mortgage loans received by the servicer, lender, for which the document custodian holds documents. The servicer must provide such list to the document custodian within 30 days after receipt of the request. Blah, blah, blah. Processing the release of custodial documents for any liquidated loans upon receipt of an appropriate request for release and return of documents, Form 2009, from the servicer. So, this is our other form. It's called the Release Return of Documents, Form 2009. And it looks like this. And this goes to the document custodian. Property address, lender loan number. Hey, Fannie Mae loan number. There it is. It's on the paper. It's on the Form 2009, which lists all this information. And this is the form that the servicer fills out and sends to the document custodian to get back all the documents. I wonder if that includes the certificate that shows the undivided interest. We had a name for it at the beginning. It started with a P. Okay. The document custodian must provide evidence of its completion of its reconciliation by providing Fannie Mae with a loan list in electronic format, identifying the loans the document custodian holds in custody for Fannie Mae. The list should provide the following information for each mortgage loan. Document custodian's full name, city, state, FIN, servicer's name. Oh, that'd be their full name. Servicer's branch, 9-digit number, MBS pool, Fannie Mae loan number, MERS MIN number. Well, that would pretty much identify any particular one loan. And that's the stuff that they're supposed to provide evidence of its completion. So when you ask by the Form 2009, these are the things they have to send back. Fannie Mae will notify each document custodian in writing of the date by which the document custodian's reconciliation loan list must be completed and submit it to Fannie Mae. More on that some other time. Request for release return of documents on the Form 2009. Once the custody documents related to an MBS pool are delivered to the document custodian, these documents must remain in the document custodian's possession at all times, unless the servicer needs to obtain documents to perform a specific servicing function, such as, how about settling the account? To obtain documents from the document custodian, the servicer must submit a request for release return of documents, Form 2009. So again, the servicer is your lender. according to Fannie Mae. They're going to submit a Form 2009 to whoever the document custodian is to get copies of the records. Document custodian must confirm the following information is provided on the Form 2009. Date, release, property address, MBS pool, Fannie Mae loan number, right? If they give, so basically it sounds to me, if the document custodian is given all this information, it can produce the documents that go with that particular loan. That makes it pretty simple. And hey, I think that's probably about it. The rest of this is just more blah blah, but really, so not to go past this too quick, I guess, because this is what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get the documents back to find the certificate that we can use to show Fannie Mae, or at least to find the Fannie Mae loan number, so they can give us the certificate to get paid, to take to the paying agent, to contact the paying agent, whatever needs to be done next. First of all, let's go find the damn piece of paper. But the idea is to take the certificate to whoever the paying agent is, which I believe is going to be listed on the certificate when we find it. And because you're the bearer and have it in your hand, they're going to pay. And they're going to pay by not giving you a check, but by giving you a checkbook or access to the account that has been created to hold all the funds for this particular loan. And whether that is done through the Treasury direct account or just through your bank account, I don't know yet. But I know this. They said if Bob can find the Fannie Mae loan number, then Fannie Mae can find the certificate. And we'll do more on that in the video when we talk to Bob with how we got to this point. But this is the goal for this first part of this week, is to see if we can actually get somebody to do this and give us all the documents that go to a particular loan and get paid. So, okay, I'm going to leave it there. And again, until this works, if you guys can donate, I'd really appreciate it. PayPal, mail, credit card. I'll take it any way I can get it. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day. I'll see ya.